Assalamu alaikum friends, I'm Atif Ali and today I will deliver my lecture on the major characteristics of Shakespearean tragedy. Shakespeare has been regarded as the greatest dramatist and poet of all time. His popularity lies in his tragedies. Before we discuss the major characteristics of his tragedies, let's have a look how tragedy was written before Shakespeare and who was the model for tragedy writers before Shakespeare. Well, if we talk about the famous tragedies during Renaissance, then Thomas Gates' Spanish tragedy will stand tall. Spanish tragedy was based on the model put forward by Seneca, ancient Roman dramatist. Seneca gave the tragedy of blood for blood, means that if somebody has done some harm to you, do the same thing to him. Senecan model of tragedy can be found in Shakespeare, Titus, Andronicus. We find Shakespeare somehow maturing in Romeo and Juliet, but this tragedy is based on late messages, bad luck and misunderstood purposes. In Antony and Cleopatra, the death of the two prominent characters did not raise the same kind of feeling that we usually expect from a tragedy. It was in Julius Caesar that we meet a character named Brutus who has a divided mind. So now the tragedy moved from accidents to inner being and it reaches the climax in Hamlet. Here we meet a perfect hero who is surrounded by evil, and because of his divided mind he fails to defeat those evil forces. At the end the evil is destroyed, but with it the goodness has been destroyed as well. The factor of evil is also important in Shakespearean tragedies. In Othello, we have the evil of jealousy. Iago defined jealousy as a green-eyed monster, and that monster has swallowed poor Desdemona. In Macbeth, we have another evil, the lust for power, and this lust became the doom of a noble person. In King Lear, we have the evil of ignorance. King Lear, after so many years, failed to understand who is his loyal daughter, and this ignorance brings his downfall. One of the chief characteristics of Shakespearean tragedy is that he chooses his heroes of higher class. Macbeth is a general, Hamlet is the prince of Denmark, Lear is the king, and Othello is not insecure about his position. This all shows that the heroes of Shakespearean tragedies are noble men. Next characteristic is the action of these heroes. One thing must be noted over here is that before Shakespeare, fortune or fate played an important role in tragedies. Heroes tried whatever they can to stop their downfall, but with a sudden reversal of fortune, all their efforts dashed to the ground. In Shakespearean tragedies, downfall occurs because of the action of the heroes. If Hamlet had listened and acted on the words of the ghost of his father, and if he killed his Uncle Claudius when he was praying, then he would not suffer as much as he did. If Macbeth had not listened or taken seriously the prophecy of the witches, then he would have some other circumstances. Supernaturalism is one of the major characteristics in Shakespearean tragedies. We find the ghost of Hamlet's dead father in Hamlet, and the ghost advises the hero to take the life of his uncle, who has killed his father and married his mother. We find witches in Macbeth, and these witches aroused or intensified the lust of power in Macbeth. There is another element of chance in his tragedies. If we read Hamlet, then when the pirate scene came, one would say at the end that the scene was unnecessary, but actually that scene has a meaning. If pirates had not attacked the ship, then Hamlet would have been killed if he reached England. That scene also gave us a chance to see how brave Hamlet was. Before that, we only felt he is some sort of hero who is always thinking and wants to remain in a sad mood. But our thinking changes when we find him fighting bravely. It must be noted that Shakespeare uses chance but keeps it within limit. He does not let chance to have a bigger hand than the character. Poetic justice means evil should be punished and virtue should be rewarded. But Shakespeare does not believe in this theory. Most of the time, evil is punished, and with it, virtue suffers as well in his tragedies. Claudius may have died at the end, but with him, some innocent characters suffer as well. Tragic art presents real life and not a dream world, and in real life, one can find thousand examples where innocent persons have suffered for no reason at all. Injustice is always there in imperfect world. Shakespearean tragedies depict imperfect world where good character suffers as well. So Shakespeare does not believe in the theory of poetic justice. We can find the heroes of Shakespeare struggling with inward and outward struggle. The conflict represents the struggle of the thoughts in their mind. The result of this struggle is that the hero goes mad, as in King Lear, the king becomes mentally ill. Shakespearean tragedies show the paradox of life. The calamity and suffering experienced by the tragic hero are contrasted with the previous happiness and glory. This paradox is very clear in Macbeth. Initially, Macbeth is portrayed as the most brave and loyal soldier of the nation and is rewarded by King Duncan for his bravery and love for the nation. However, Macbeth is not satisfied with whatever he gets and desires more. This desire or over-ambitious nature leads him to think evilly, which is the end of his personality. Last but not the least, we have a rebirth and a sense of new life at the ending of every major tragedy that Shakespeare wrote. For example, at the end of Hamlet, we find Fortinbras, who is ready to become the new king. We find Edgar at the end of King Lear. We have Malcolm at the end of Macbeth, who is going to hold things together. And in Othello, we have Cassio. So Shakespeare believes in new life after disaster. After the death of William Shakespeare, a theory came forward that Christopher Marlowe might have faked his death and was writing the plays of William Shakespeare. Another theory came forward that Francis Bacon was secretly writing the plays of William Shakespeare. But I, as a teacher and student of English literature, totally reject these theories, as many people have already done it. In the end, I would like to say that till the time sun shines upon this earth and the centuries to follow, William Shakespeare will always be regarded as the greatest playwright the world has ever seen.